My beloved child, listen carefully because what I am about to tell you is not a story meant to pass time. This is a moment that has been quietly growing behind the calendar pages. December is not just a month this time. It is a door. A door that once closed will never open in the same way again. Someone you see every day. Someone whose presence feels permanent. Someone whose silence would feel louder than noise. That person is standing at the edge of a goodbye so large that the world around it looks small. You may think you have time. You may believe there is always a tomorrow. But some tomorrows are designed to arrive without asking for permission. This is one of them. What is coming is not sudden. It has been planned by fate with slow patience. Every delay you ignored. Every moment you assumed would repeat. Every time you said later instead of now. All of it has been leading here. December is not ending something small. December is taking someone away from the version of life you know. And once this goodbye happens, the echoes will stay longer than the sound itself. Stay with me. Because what you are about to hear was never meant for everyone. It was meant for those who can feel before they understand. Before you try to guess who this person is, pause and breathe because the truth is heavier than curiosity. This is not about death. This is not about disappearance. This is about departure. A leaving so deep that even if the body stays close, the soul moves far ahead. Some goodbyes happen without suitcases. Some journeys begin without tickets. And the most dangerous part is that no one announces them clearly. The signs were always there but wrapped in normal days. Shorter conversations. Longer silences. A different look in the eyes. A calm that did not belong to peace. People change before they leave. They simplify. They observe more than they speak. They hold back words as if saving them for a place where you cannot follow. December is that place. And the biggest shock is not that they are leaving. The biggest shock is realizing how long they have already been gone inside. You will replay old moments and ask yourself how you missed it. You did not miss it. You just trusted time too much. This goodbye is not loud. It is quiet. And quiet goodbyes break people in slow motion. There is a reason this moment feels different from every ending you have ever seen. This goodbye is layered. On the surface it looks normal. A change. A decision. A step forward. But underneath it is a separation of timelines. After December there will be two versions of you. The one who knew life before this person left. And the one who learned how to live after. This is not about losing someone physically. This is about losing access. Access to their thoughts. Access to their daily presence. Access to the comfort of knowing they are just one call away. Once December passes, that access changes forever. Even if they return someday, they will not return as the same person. Because leaving reshapes people. Distance edits personalities. Growth erases old habits. And what comes back is always wiser but less familiar. That is why this goodbye is the biggest. Not because it hurts today, but because it keeps changing shape every day after. What makes this moment once in a lifetime is not the leaving itself. People leave all the time. What makes it rare is who is leaving and why. This person is not running away. They are being called forward. There is a purpose pulling them stronger than attachment. A future that demands sacrifice. A path that does not allow looking back too often. And the painful truth is that love does not always stop people from answering their calling. Sometimes love is the reason they go. Because staying would mean shrinking. Because remaining would mean choosing comfort over destiny. December is when that choice becomes real. And the hardest part for you will not be the absence. It will be the pride mixed with pain. Knowing they are doing what they must. Knowing you cannot ask them to stay without asking them to betray themselves. That conflict is where most hearts learn maturity. Now listen to this carefully because this is the revelation most people understand too late. This goodbye is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal you. Who you are when something important leaves. Who you become when a familiar presence turns into a memory. December will test your ability to grow without holding on. To love without possession. To remember without drowning. If you cling, you will suffer. If you accept, you will evolve. The person leaving is not taking love away. They are changing its form. And one day you will look back at this exact moment and realize this goodbye did not end a chapter. It activated one. Stay here. Because the next part will expose what happens after December passes. And why this departure changes everything you thought you knew about loyalty, timing, and fate. When December finally arrives, something invisible shifts before anything visible changes. The days look the same. The nights feel familiar. People around you continue their routines. But inside, a quiet rearrangement has already begun. This is the phase where confusion feels heavier than sadness. You wake up feeling alert yet empty. You sense distance even in closeness. This is because the connection you once relied on has entered its final form. The person who is about to leave starts behaving differently now. Not colder. Not careless. Just slightly detached. As if they are standing in two places at once. One foot still in your world. One foot already stepping into the next. And this is where most people panic. They try to pull the person back into the old rhythm. Old jokes. Old habits. Old expectations. But nothing sticks the same way. Because December does not negotiate. December only completes what has been silently building for months. This is the moment you realize that preparation does not always feel like preparation. Sometimes it feels like distance. Sometimes it feels like silence. Sometimes it feels like nothing is wrong at all. Until suddenly everything is different. There comes a point when the leaving becomes undeniable, and it does not announce itself with drama. It reveals itself through clarity. Conversations turn purposeful. Words become measured. The person speaks as if every sentence must survive distance. This is when you feel the emotional gravity. Not sharp pain. Not dramatic tears. Just a deep understanding that this chapter has an expiry date. And the mind starts racing ahead of the heart. You imagine future moments without them. You imagine celebrations where their place is empty. You imagine random days where you instinctively reach out and then remember. This anticipation hurts more than the actual goodbye. Because the mind keeps rehearsing loss before it happens. And yet, there is something powerful hiding here. This is where you learn how strong a bond truly is. Not by how tightly it holds, but by how honestly it prepares you to stand alone. December teaches this lesson without mercy. But it teaches it well. At this stage, the biggest mistake people make is misunderstanding the meaning of leaving. They assume departure equals abandonment. It does not. Some people leave to protect what exists between you. Because staying would slowly poison it with regret. Because remaining would turn love into resentment. This person is not choosing distance over you. They are choosing alignment with their future. And alignment is not optional. It is necessary. What hurts is that growth rarely asks for group permission. It is a solo decision with shared consequences. And here lies the emotional paradox. The more you care, the more you want them to succeed. And the more they succeed, the farther they go. This contradiction feels unbearable at first. But it is also proof that the connection was real. Superficial bonds break loudly. Deep bonds stretch quietly. December is stretching yours to its limit. As the final days approach, memories start behaving differently. They stop feeling warm and start feeling sacred. Ordinary moments gain weight. Simple conversations feel recorded in your soul. This is not nostalgia. This is preservation. The mind is saving details for the days ahead. The way they laughed. The way they listened. The way they existed without trying. You begin noticing things you never paid attention to before. Their patience. Their silence. Their consistency. This awareness arrives late, but it arrives honestly. And this is where emotional maturity is born. You stop trying to change the outcome. You stop bargaining with time. You stop asking why now. Instead, you start asking how to honor what was. This acceptance does not remove pain. But it removes resistance. And resistance is what makes suffering unbearable. December rewards those who let go with dignity. Then comes the moment no one prepares you for. The goodbye that does not feel like an ending. There are no dramatic scenes. No final speeches. No perfect closure. Just a simple shift. A message unanswered for longer than usual. A routine that changes quietly. A presence that fades without vanishing completely. This is the most powerful type of goodbye. Because it forces you to grow without a clear finish line. It teaches you to live with unresolved emotions. To carry love without direction. To move forward without forgetting. And this is where the transformation begins. The person who leaves becomes a reference point. A standard. A silent influence. And you become someone new. Someone who understands timing better. Someone who respects destiny more. Someone who no longer fears distance. December does not just take someone away. It rearranges who you are allowed to become next. Stay connected. Because what follows this goodbye will redefine your understanding of connection itself. Understand this now, because very few people ever do. After the goodbye settles, life does not collapse. That is the shocking part. The sun still rises. Messages still arrive from others. Responsibilities still demand attention. And this normalcy feels almost offensive. You expect the world to pause out of respect for what you lost, but it does not. This is when the real test begins. Not during the goodbye, but after it. When there is no event left to blame. When silence becomes routine. When you realize the pain is not sharp anymore but spread out, quietly living in corners of your day. This phase feels confusing because nothing is visibly wrong, yet nothing feels fully right. And this is exactly how transformation disguises itself. It hides inside normal days. It waits until you stop resisting. December may have triggered the departure, but what follows is where the real story unfolds. This is where you begin to understand why this person had to leave when they did. Slowly, without announcement, you start noticing changes in yourself. Your reactions soften. Your patience stretches. Your priorities rearrange. You stop chasing explanations and start trusting outcomes. This is not numbness. This is depth. Losing access to someone important forces you to build access to yourself. You begin doing things alone that you once shared. And surprisingly, you survive them. Then you master them. This is when strength replaces dependence. Not because you stopped caring, but because you learned how to carry care without needing proximity. The absence no longer feels like punishment. It starts feeling like space. Space to grow into parts of yourself that were waiting silently. The person who left did not weaken you. They activated a version of you that could not exist while they were still close. Here is the revelation that shifts everything. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to prepare you. Prepare you for responsibilities you have not faced yet. Prepare you for versions of love that demand maturity. Prepare you for paths that require solitude before partnership. This person was not meant to walk every mile with you. They were meant to walk you to a certain point and then step aside so you could continue stronger. When you finally see this, resentment disappears. Regret dissolves. Gratitude takes its place. You stop asking why they left and start appreciating when they arrived. And timing reveals its intelligence. If they had stayed longer, the bond might have weakened. If they had left earlier, the lesson might not have landed. December was precise. Painful, but precise. There will come a moment when you think of them and feel calm instead of heavy. That moment is important. It does not mean you forgot them. It means you integrated the experience. You no longer need constant reminders to honor what existed. It lives inside your decisions now. In how you treat people. In what you tolerate. In what you refuse to settle for. The person who left unknowingly raised your standards. They changed the baseline of connection for you. And this is why their impact lasts longer than their presence. This is also why this goodbye was necessary. Some lessons require distance to become clear. Some truths only speak when noise leaves. Now listen closely, because this sets up what comes next. December was not the end of connection. It was the end of dependence. What follows is alignment. New people will enter your life, but you will recognize them differently now. You will not rush. You will not cling. You will not confuse attention with meaning. The leaving taught you discernment. And that is rare. This is why this goodbye was the biggest. Not because someone left, but because you stayed and evolved. The next part will reveal what destiny does when you finally stop holding on and start becoming. Now comes the phase that almost no one talks about, because it is quiet and powerful at the same time. After the dust settles, life begins to respond to the new version of you. Not immediately. Not dramatically. But deliberately. Situations appear that would have once shaken you, and now they do not. Conversations happen that once demanded emotional effort, and now they feel light. This is when you realize something important has shifted internally. The space created by that departure did not remain empty. It reorganized you. You are no longer reacting from fear of loss. You are choosing from clarity of self. This is the hidden gift of the biggest goodbye. It removes emotional noise. It sharpens perception. It teaches you how to listen to your intuition without interference. December did not just take someone away. It cleared your signal. At this point, memories of the person no longer interrupt your day. They accompany it. There is a difference. Interruption drains energy. Accompaniment strengthens it. You can think of them without collapsing into emotion. You can appreciate the role they played without wishing to rewind time. This emotional balance is not accidental. It is earned. Earned through nights of reflection. Earned through resisting the urge to chase closure. Earned through choosing dignity over desperation. Most people never reach this stage because they confuse healing with forgetting. You did not forget. You transcended. And that is why your growth is permanent. What once felt like loss now feels like foundation. Here is the surprising truth that connects everything. When someone leaves your life at the right time, they create room for alignment that could not exist before. New opportunities start recognizing you. New responsibilities trust you. New connections meet you at eye level instead of leaning on you or pulling you down. This is not coincidence. This is calibration. Life adjusts itself based on who you become after impact. The departure refined your boundaries. It strengthened your self-respect. It taught you that attachment is not proof of love. Growth is. And because of that lesson, you now attract situations that match your maturity. This is why the leaving had to happen before the next phase could begin. You may still wonder sometimes what life would look like if they had stayed. That curiosity does not mean weakness. It means you are human. But notice this. When you imagine that version of life now, it feels smaller. Comfortable, but limited. Safe, but contained. And that realization tells you everything you need to know. You outgrew the version of yourself that required their presence to feel complete. That does not reduce their importance. It honors their purpose. They were a bridge, not a destination. And bridges are not meant to be lived on. They are meant to be crossed. This brings us to the final understanding of this chapter. The biggest goodbye was never about separation. It was about succession. One version of you handing responsibility to the next. December marked the transition. What follows is ownership of your path without needing validation. Without needing permission. Without needing reassurance. You carry the lesson forward, not the longing. And that is why this story does not end in sadness. It ends in readiness. Because once you survive the biggest goodbye, nothing leaves you unprepared again. My beloved child, this is where everything finally becomes clear. Not in a dramatic flash. Not in a single moment of realization. But in a steady knowing that settles into your bones. You wake up one day and understand that you are no longer waiting for anything to return. The absence no longer feels like a gap that needs filling. It feels like proof that you can stand fully on your own ground. This is the quiet victory no one applauds. The moment you realize the goodbye did not reduce you. It refined you. December did not take something from you. It extracted a version of you that had already served its purpose. And now, what remains is stronger, calmer, and unshakably aware of its own worth. There is a rare strength that only comes after something important leaves your life. It is not loud confidence. It is not forced positivity. It is a grounded presence that does not beg to be understood. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing clarity from others. You move with intention instead of urgency. This is when people start sensing depth in you without knowing why. They feel stability where there used to be emotional noise. And that is because you learned the hardest lesson without running from it. You stayed through the discomfort. You did not rush replacement. You allowed time to complete its work. This discipline changes the trajectory of your entire future. Once you learn how to lose without breaking, nothing controls you again. Now here is the once-in-a-lifetime truth that most people never hear at the right time. Some people leave so that destiny can finally recognize you. As long as you were emotionally anchored, certain doors remained closed. Not because you were wrong, but because you were not free yet. Freedom does not always feel good when it arrives. Sometimes it feels like emptiness first. But emptiness is not punishment. It is preparation. The space created by that departure was necessary for what is meant to enter next. And whatever comes after this chapter will not need you to shrink, wait, or doubt yourself. It will meet you in alignment, not attachment. You may never fully explain this journey to anyone. And that is okay. Not every transformation is meant to be witnessed. Some evolutions are private agreements between you and life itself. The person who left will always matter, but they will no longer define your emotional center. They become part of your story, not the direction of it. And one day, without warning, you will realize that you no longer measure time as before and after them. You simply move forward. Whole. Capable. Ready. That is when you know the goodbye completed its mission. This is the final revelation. The biggest goodbye was never a loss. It was an initiation into self-trust, into emotional independence, into a future that requires courage more than comfort. December was the turning point, but you are the continuation. What leaves teaches you how to stay. What ends trains you to begin correctly. And now, without chasing, without fear, without needing certainty, you are prepared for what comes next. My beloved child, this is the phase where silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling intelligent. You notice it in small moments. When you no longer rush to fill gaps with noise. When you sit with your thoughts without fear. When you trust pauses instead of fighting them. This is not loneliness. This is alignment settling in. After the biggest goodbye, your inner world reorganizes itself with precision. You stop reacting to life and start responding to it. This shift is subtle, but it is irreversible. Once you experience this level of internal stability, you cannot go back to emotional chaos. December opened this door, but walking through it was your choice. And you walked through without looking back. Something else begins to happen now, and it surprises most people. The memory of the person who left no longer pulls you into the past. It sharpens your present. You make better decisions because of them. You walk away from situations that once trapped you. You recognize misalignment early. This is the legacy of a meaningful departure. Not pain, but precision. Their absence trained your instincts. It taught you what depth feels like so you never confuse it with convenience again. This is why the biggest goodbye leaves the strongest compass behind. You are not lost. You are directed. Here is a truth that only reveals itself at this stage. Life does not reward emotional attachment. It rewards emotional readiness. And now, you are ready. Ready to carry responsibility without resentment. Ready to love without losing yourself. Ready to stand alone without feeling incomplete. The leaving stripped away illusions. It showed you that connection should add to your life, not hold it together. This understanding changes the way destiny approaches you. Opportunities stop testing you and start trusting you. Challenges stop threatening you and start shaping you. This is not luck. This is qualification. You may notice that fewer things impress you now. Not because you became cold, but because you became clear. Drama feels loud. Confusion feels unnecessary. You value consistency over intensity. Presence over promises. This maturity is the direct result of surviving what once felt unbearable. And the most powerful part is this. You did not harden. You softened with structure. You learned how to protect your heart without closing it. That balance is rare. And it is why what comes next will recognize you immediately. This is where the journey quietly resets. Not with fireworks. Not with announcements. But with readiness. The biggest goodbye completed its work. It did not leave you behind. It positioned you ahead. From here, every step is intentional. Every connection is conscious. Every decision is yours. And now, without chasing, without clinging, without fear of loss, you move forward carrying wisdom instead of weight. This is what December